The Community Television Consortium of Stark County presents this week's edition of What's Happening, the show about you, the people of Stark County. And now your host for tonight's program, Susie Vitale.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of What's Happening in Stark County. I'm Susie Vitale. Our first guest this evening is our good friend Susie Thomas, who's the Director of Public Relations at Malone. And Susie, you're here to talk about something really fun tonight. What is that?
Singing Valentines.
Okay.
Now, if anybody watching is like me, you sort of rack your brain every year to think of some creative way to surprise all the people that you need to send Valentines to. And I'm here to solve everyone's problem because Malone College is once again, for the 5th year now, offering really popular Singing Valentines. These started a few years ago and have really taken off. So it's a really fun way to surprise somebody that you want to send a Valentine to. And if you just don't want to do the same old thing again year after year, this is a neat surprise. What happens is that 3 members of the Malone Chorale, 2 or 3, sometimes 4, I guess, go out in these small groups, and they will go to anywhere in Stark County.
Oh, they don't just call on the phone, they come in person?
They actually come in person.
Oh, great.
And they come all dressed in formal wear. So they're dressed very, very nicely. Kathy Cowgill from Cowgill's Flowers has donated carnations again. So when they go to your person's house or place of business or school or whatever you happen to be sending them to, they will sing either a friendship song or a love song, depending on your relationship with the person you're sending your Valentine to. And they will present them with a flower and sing the song, and it's just great.
That's really good. So it's a prearranged song, so you have a choice of one or the other.
Right. They have 2 rehearsed. Yeah, you can't call and say, yeah, can you do Nights in White Satin? Or, no. You have to, actually go with one song or the other. But one is for a friend, if you're sending it to a friend, and the other is actually if you're sending it that you want to have them sing a love song.
And you do this anywhere in Stark County?
Anywhere in Stark County, right. And it will be delivered on Valentine's Day.
Between what hours?
Between 9 and 9.
Okay.
And there's an hour off for lunch in there or something. But anyway, somewhere between the hours of 9 and 9.
Okay, now the chorale department is doing this.
Right.
So they're going to be very busy this day.
That's right.
So, okay, so if you want to do this, how do you go about doing it?
Well, you want to call the Fine Arts Department, and that number would be 471-8231.
Okay.
And you just order it. You can talk to Holly Brown there, and she will take your order. They are $10 a piece, so $10 for the flower and the song delivered. When you think of how many dumb little gifts you could end up buying for $10, and this is something really neat, and it goes to a good cause.
Okay, so what is the deadline? When do you have to have these ordered by?
Well, I think they probably want to call. I'm trying to think of when this is airing. Just call.
Okay.
They can't order them after the 14th.
That's for sure.
Right.
Okay, how do you pay for these? Do you have to go in and pay for these before they'll send the people out, or how does that work?
Many are prepaid. I know they'll make arrangements if you call over the phone.
Okay, so tell us about the chorale. What's the chorale department going to use this for?
Okay, well, this is their fundraiser, and they've been doing this for a couple of years to raise money to be able to travel to England and Wales. And they're going on a concert tour where they will see some of the great cathedrals over there, and they're going to be singing. They're actually going to be performing in some of the churches over there, and it should be a wonderful experience for them.
That's great. So how soon are they going to go?
That'll be this spring.
This spring?
Right. So they're doing all their last-minute fundraisers right now, getting all their last-minute money that they need for the trip.
So this will really help them out. Did they do real well last year?
Oh, yes. Well, that's why it's now limited to Stark County. Right.
Oh,
They've done very, very well.
Okay, so you had to limit the borders. I just can't get over that they'll go anywhere. Okay, now, one last time, it's $10. You call the Fine Arts. If someone forgets the phone number, you call the Fine Arts Department. And what's that number again?
471-8231.
Okay, and you make arrangements over the phone. Pick choice of 2 songs.
Right, and you ask them if they will please come either in the morning or the afternoon or the evening. You have like 3 chunks of time to choose from. And between the hours of 9 and 9.
And how do they introduce us? Do they tell the person who it's from, or how?
Right, they arrive. When I had one sent to me, I was in the middle of teaching, and they knocked on the door and they said, "Is Suzanne Thomas here?" And they walked in, they just started singing to me. So it's really fun.
Okay, well, you brought some of your singers with you.
Yes, we did.
And they're right off camera here, so we're going to listen to them sing one of the songs.
The friendship song.
The friendship song. Okay, probably the most popular. Okay, let's listen to them.
Thanks.
We've got a Valentine message for you, and it comes from a friend who's true. This friend, he thinks you're special, he really likes your style, and so he sent us here today to sing for you a while. We hope this Valentine coming your way will bring you a happy day.
Our next guest is another good friend, Mary Pratt, who's the Minority Adoption and Foster Care Recruiter from the Department of Human Services. And Mary, you're here tonight to talk about a special program that you're doing, is that right?
Right. Recently, we sent out a press release, and we sent out packets of children that are available for adoption. We sent them to all the churches in Stark County. Hopefully, what we're hoping is that the pastors will share across the pulpit the need for adoptive parents in Stark County, especially minorities. We have more minorities available right now in sibling groups who need adoptive homes, and our prayer is that by having the churches involved, if we can just get one family out of each church to adopt a child or adopt a sibling group, then we won't have any waiting children in Stark County. And that's, right now we're in the process of doing that.
You probably get really good people too, going
Yes.
through the churches.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about these children that are available. There are quite, how many children are actually available?
Well, currently we have around 57 children available, which would make our booklet kind of large to send out. So what we did was we took the children that had been waiting the longest, 23 children, and we kind of highlighted them in our booklet that we just sent out. 19 of those 23 children are minorities. So that just shows you how great that need is there. There's 19 children who are part of a sibling group. So, and that the sibling groups are from 2 in a sibling group to up to 4, and their ages range from 4 to 12. So we need not only people who will take minorities, we need people who will take a sibling group and who will take older children.
Okay, let's talk about the importance of keeping the siblings together, because you've talked about that before, that these children have come out of situations that were not great situations.
No, and the agency believes that we should do everything possible to keep them together. When you think about they've already been separated from their parents and then to be separated from their siblings, that's a lot to ask the child to cope with. So it just makes it easier not only on the children but on the adoptive parent if they have their sibling there. Because we do know that although some of our foster children are not placed in the same foster home, when they do have a chance to visit each other, that bond is still there, although they're not living together.
Okay, and as far as the minority factor, that's important too. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, we believe that although it's not always possible, we believe in placing minority children in minority homes simply for another reason. They've already been separated from their parents, and then to take them and put them in another culture, it's just a shock for some children. So we try our best to place children in same-race homes. That's not always possible. So we do cultural, transracial adoptions. We believe that the state makes poor parents, and it's better that they be in a home, a loving, stable home that really wants and needs and loves them, than for them to sit in the system.
Okay, now what kind of person can adopt? Do you have to be married and have your own home?
No, you can be single, you can be married, you don't have to own your own home. It's very easy. It's not as difficult as people think. I have people say to me, well, I just don't have time to go through that. But it's really not that hard. There's some training involved, but the agency is there for support, for moral support. There's financial support available for the children. You know, we'll help you through the process. It's really not hard.
Okay, and you don't even have to have a great big giant house. If you're taking in maybe 3 kids, they don't each have to have their own room.
No, they can share a room just like your natural children would share a room. You don't have to have their own room. They don't even have to have their own bed. Foster children, you have to have their own bed, but not adoptive. Our rules are not as strict for adoptive parents as they are for foster parents. And the best thing for them to do, though, is just to give me a call.
Okay.
And we'll send out a packet of information about our program. They can reach me at 438-8789. We'll send out the packet of information. I have been known to come right to the home and talk to them. I'm willing to do that.
But only if they want you to.
Right.
There's no
Only if they,
obligation.
no, because there's no obligation just to get the information. But I do have people who feel more comfortable with me coming to the home than them coming into the agency, and I am willing to do that.
And there's a lot of support there, too.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and what's that phone number one more time?
438-8789.
Okay, hope you hear from some people.
Thank you.
Stay with us, we've got more. Our next guest is Sue Pierce, who's the Director of Disaster Services from the American Red Cross from our Canton chapter. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, what does the Director of Disaster Services, what do you do?
Well, the Red Cross is a volunteer-driven organization, and so, in a nutshell, my job is to direct the disaster response to both local and national disasters, and I have many volunteers that provide that response and that relief, and I provide guidance and direction for them.
Okay, now you work both nationally and locally, so what do you do when there's a local disaster, for example? What services do you provide?
Well, if there's a local disaster, and usually they're single-family fires, but they can be any kind of a variety of local disasters, ranging from chemical spills to tornadoes or plane crashes. But for the most part, we have single-family fires, and our primary concern is to make sure that the people who are involved in that disaster have food, clothing, and shelter. So we respond at the time of the disaster to make sure that those emergency immediate needs are taken care of.
Do you go right out while the house is burning, or how do you do that?
Yes, we do. If we get the call, often we get the call from the fire department at the time that the house is burning, and we'll go right out no matter what time it is and take care of the needs of the victim at the time. Sometimes the people who are involved in the disaster might have someplace to stay for the night, and they might contact us the following day. So it depends upon when the first contact's made.
Okay, and nationally I know that you go out. I see in the paper sometimes people are going out at some of these national disasters. Which different disasters have people gone to from here?
Well, the people from our chapter have been very active in responding to national disasters whenever they're called. I've been the Director of Disaster Services at the Canton chapter since October, and since that time we have had volunteers who have responded to the greater Houston area floods in Houston, Texas, and at the same time that was happening in November, we also had some flooding in Savannah, Georgia, and we had volunteers who responded to that. And then over the Thanksgiving holiday, we had some people who went down to Florida for some flooding that was taking place in Florida. And just this past week, we've had 5 volunteers return from the flooding in California.
Okay, and John Gasper, you said was one of those?
Yes, he was one of those, and I understand that you've met him before.
Yes, he's been on our program a lot. Okay, so when they go out to the national disasters, what do they do?
Well, there are many different functions that a volunteer can serve in. The people in our chapter serve primarily in family service, which is interviewing the disaster victims and making sure that their needs are met. Mass care, which is involved with feeding and sheltering large numbers of people. And those are the 2 primary ones that our people do. We do have some people that do damage assessment, and that's kind of what drives the rest of the disaster response, because it depends upon the extent of the damage as to what other services the Red Cross provides. And so our people have been most active in those 3 areas primarily.
Okay, now obviously your volunteers are trained. How do you get to be trained well enough to go out and work at a national disaster?
Well, once someone expresses a desire to become involved in disaster services, then I can provide training for them in the many different areas, and there are approximately 20 different areas, and they can choose one or they can cross-train. And we provide classes and experience so that they can be trained well enough to be able to handle these disasters.
What are some of the areas, just for, you don't have to name all 20.
Okay, well, I mentioned family service, mass care, and damage assessment. There are also some support functions like computer operations, there's government liaison, labor liaison, logistics, communications, There's a very large number. Pretty much there's something for everybody. Whatever someone's experience has been, there's a place for them in the Red Cross.
Okay, so do you start out locally and then work up to national disasters?
Yes, they do. They start out on the local level and then they apply for membership in the national system.
Okay, if somebody's interested in being a volunteer with the Red Cross in any capacity, but especially with disaster services, what's the phone number they would call?
In Canton, our chapter number there is 453-0146. If they live outside of the Canton chapter jurisdiction, they can call their local chapter and become involved that way.
Okay, and just let them know they want to be a volunteer and ask for more information. Do you have any training times coming up?
Yes, we do have some classes scheduled for actually through June, and we have an institute that they can go to in June as well.
Okay, well, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us. We've got more from First Friends. Our next guest is Maureen Bryant Cooper, who is a recovery leader with the First Friends Outreach Ministry. And you're here tonight to tell us about a seminar that's coming up. What's the seminar about?
Well, Susie, the seminar is called When the Blues Won't Quit, or Beating Depression. Many people, especially in the wintertime in Northeast Ohio, find themselves having to struggle to get through each day under kind of a cloud of vague, pervasive sadness, which just they can't seem to shake. And sometimes that sadness deepens to a point where life no longer seems worth living. God seems hopelessly distant, and often these people see no way out of this pain. So the purpose of this seminar is to address the issues that go along with this and to learn to distinguish what's a normal case of the blues from what might be a more severe clinical depression.
That's really a valuable workshop to have, because, or seminar to have, because everyone's depressed sometimes, but sometimes people just start going down and just can't pull out of it.
That's right.
Okay, where's this going to be?
This will be held at First Friends Church in Canton on Saturday, March 11th from 12:30 to 4 o'clock.
Okay, is there any charge for it?
If you call the church and register by March 9th, it will be $6. If you register at the door, it will be $8.
Okay, and this is open to anyone in the community. You don't have to go to First Friends
Absolutely.
Church. Okay, so who would benefit from coming to this?
Anyone who suffers from these kind of vague feelings of sadness, or if you know somebody that does, or perhaps parents that are concerned about their teenagers being depressed. Or maybe you have a third grader whose performance in school is dropping and they don't seem to be enjoying life like they should. And maybe you're concerned about them. It would benefit anyone who has anyone in their family along those lines.
Okay, what's the seminar going to be like? Is it going to be a lecture or small groups? Or?
We'll be doing a lot of different things. I myself will be teaching the seminar.
Okay.
And we'll be doing some small groups, some lecture. I'm going to be giving people some questionnaires to fill out to determine if they're depressed or not. I'm going to be telling some stories about what depression's like and giving lots of information about how to deal with it and how to live a balanced life to help cope with depression.
Okay, now you would be good at distinguishing depression because you're very well qualified. Give us your qualifications so people know it's not just somebody's opinion, a nice person's opinion.
I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor, and I've been in clinical practice as a counselor for a number of years, and I'm currently working with North Coast Family Foundation, which is a Christian counseling center in Canton.
Okay, so you're very well qualified, and you probably see a lot of depression.
A lot.
Okay, so this is a fairly big problem. So
Yes,
is there a limit to the number that can come to the seminar?
Right now we have it in the chapel, which holds about 200, but if we get more, we can move to the bigger auditorium, so there is no limit.
Okay, now what do you mean by leading a balanced life?
A balanced life would consist of what I consider taking care of 5 main areas in your life: the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, the social, and the spiritual areas. If any one of those areas gets out of balance, you're more subject to be depressed. So we'll talk about how to take care of each one of those areas.
Okay, so there are the 5 areas that people can count on, and the spiritual aspect is a very big one, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
it is. And often when people get depressed, they feel like it's a spiritual problem. So we'll be talking about if it is, when it is, and if it is, how to deal with it.
But it could be just something physical. That's right.
Absolutely. And often people suffer unnecessarily thinking they've done something wrong with God when really it's a physical problem.
Okay, what's the phone number? If somebody wants to call in and register, what's the phone number and what's the name of the workshop?
The workshop again is called When the Blues Won't Quit, and they can call First Friends to register. The number there is 492-6333. Or if they have questions and want to talk to me, they can either call that number or call North Coast Family Foundation.
Okay, and you'll be glad to answer their questions.
Right.
Now, do they need to send a check in then as soon as they register and get that in there before?
I think that's a good idea. I don't take care of handling the money, but I think that's a good idea.
Okay, and when is that again?
Saturday, March 11th.
Okay, and the phone number one last time?
492-6333.
Okay, thanks for coming this evening.
Thank you.
Next up, we have our calendar of events. Stay with us. Next up is Pat Anderson with the calendar of events. Pat?
Thanks, Susie. The Canton Public Library has several things going on in the next month or so. On Tuesdays, they're going to have family specials from 6:30 to 7:30 in the evening on March 14th and also on April 11th. And then on January 18th through March 1st, they're going to have toddler story time for ages 2 and 3-year-olds at 10:30 and 11 o'clock in the morning, and those last for half an hour. They're going to have preschool story time for ages 4 to 5, and that has started already on February 2nd, but you can join in. That runs through March 16th, and that's from 10 to 10:30. And then they're going to have a craft day on Wednesday, February 22nd, for children ages 6 through 11, and that will be from 4 to 5 p.m. in the evening. So for any of the information on these, you can call the Stark County Public Library at 452-0665. Scholarships for graduate and undergraduate students are available to Stark County residents who have outstanding academic records and need financial aid to get a degree in library science to become a librarian. The applications are due by April 1st, and to get an application, you need to call 493-0020. And low-interest student loans are also available for graduates or soon-to-be graduates of Stark County high schools through the Canton Student Loan Foundation. You must be a Stark resident who has graduated with an A, Better Chance program, has graduated from that program, and you must have a 2-point grade point average and plan to attend college on a full-time basis. Loan applications for this is due by June 1st, and the number to call is also the same number, 493-0020. The Arc of Stark County Siblings Support Group will meet at 7 o'clock February 6th and 27th at the Avondale School, which is located at 3933 East Eaton Road Northwest. All school-age children who have brothers or sisters with mental retardation and or developmental disabilities may attend. For more information, please call 453-2727. Stark County Family Courts needs volunteers for its Guardian Ad Litem program. The volunteer guardian represents the rights and the best interest of neglected children during court proceedings. The volunteers must be a Stark County resident, they must be 21 years old, and have no criminal record. Training sessions will begin on February 17th. They will also be on the 24th and on March 3rd. For more information, you can call 438-0914. I Can Cope, a 6-week course that provides cancer patients and their families with the opportunity to learn more about living with cancer, will begin on March 6th. The sessions are Mondays in the Morrow Education Center at Altman Hospital. The sessions are presented by physicians, nurses, and other professionals, and is co-sponsored by the American Cancer Society. For details or to register, call 438-7483. School for Scholars, a new review course for the College Board Advancement Placement Test, will be offered March 16th through May 12th in the Canton Jewish Center. The 7-session course will prepare students for the college advanced placement exams in American history, Spanish, English, and calculus. The cost is $295. For more details or to register for that, call 453-0132. The Massillon Senior Citizen Center is sponsoring the following trips. On February 14th, they're going to the Home and Garden Show in Cleveland. On March 14th, they're going to Mansfield. On April 27th, they're going to Thistledown Racetrack. Maybe we should go to that one. On June 28th, they're going to the Carousel Dinner Theater. And if you want more information on that, call 837-2784. And then the Belden Village Evening Chapter of the American Association of Retired Persons is sponsoring some trips. On March 12th, they're going to see David Copperfield up in Cleveland. On April 1st, they're going to see the Living Bible in Mansfield. On April 23rd, they're going on a mystery trip. On May 9th through the 14th, they're going to Branson, Missouri. And on May 21st, they're going to see the unsinkable Molly Brown up at the Carousel Dinner Theater. Sounds like a good time. Their number is 484-0404. The Community Television Consortium of Stark County is holding its 3rd annual Stark County School Video Contest. The contest is open to every classroom in Stark County, and the rules are very simple. First, you need to teach us something in 5 minutes or less. The subject matter cannot be political, controversial. There can be no profanity or nudity. Videos are judged by age groups kindergarten through 2nd grade, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, and 9th through 12th. The 10 first place and special award winners will appear on 2 special What's Happening programs in May, and the winners will also be awarded ribbons and certificates. Videos must be postmarked by April 1st, 1995. For more information on this, call 499-4008. If your nonprofit club or organization would like to appear on What's Happening or have their announcements on the calendar, you can write to us, the Community Television Consortium, at Post Office Box 8335, Canton, Ohio, 44711, or you can give us a call at 493-8925. We do air on Tuesdays and Thursdays on Warner Cable, Tuesdays at 6 and Thursdays at 6:30, and on Thursdays on Massillon Cable, Channel 50 at 7:30. And that's it.
Thanks, Pat. And all your buddies here at the CTC would like to wish you a happy birthday.
Thanks.
That wraps up another edition of What's Happening in Stark County. Thanks for joining us.